It is Tuesday, April 7th, and I have a couple things I'd like to talk about. One of them is been kind of on my mind the last couple days since I saw it, and it's true. And so if any of you have heard of Eliot Holes, he has a lot of good content, a lot of kind of reality-based, tough love content that gives you sometimes that reality check you need, depending on the topic. Some of the stuff that he, like some of the titles of his videos, I'm just like, whoa. But I clicked on one the other day, and it says, nobody gives a fuck about your journey. And I knew what he was going to say. So I clicked on it, and sure enough, he said what I thought he was going to say. And he was basically talking about channels like mine, that I just talk. And I kind of vlog. And part of what I'm doing is talking about my journey. Everyday things that come up that, you know, I might be able to shed a little light for somebody else, or just to be able to talk my way through it or process it. And he's like, nobody gives a fuck about your journey. And that's true. And that's probably the reason I have very few views. Because at the end of the day, what I have to say usually isn't all that interesting. Sometimes it is. And I kind of ramble a lot. So, you know, it is what it is. But at the end of the day, also, I did not start this channel to become YouTube famous. I'm not trying to have 100,000 subscribers. It's my outlet. It's my way to be able to talk things through where I don't have that anywhere else. And if it helps somebody, it helps somebody. And if it entertains somebody, it entertains somebody. And if it doesn't, then people can move on. And I'm okay with that. I think I'm okay with that. But I do try to bring in points or advice or make points that could be helpful to somebody. I don't have the luxury of being able to sit down and like take notes about what I want to talk about. I just don't have the time in my day. So I just go by my gut, and when I feel like it's time to make a video and start talking, and I've thought about a couple things and have some stuff to say, then I hit record. And that's my style. So yeah, I'm not saying that his video is negative, and I'm not putting his video down. There are many people that need to hear that, and it was a good kind of gut punch for me too, to just realize that, you know, nobody does give a fuck about my journey, and maybe I will never get more than 5 or 6 views on a video. But then it also gave me the chance to sit and think about that and decide and come to the conclusion that I'm okay with that. So kudos to him for always being honest and being true to himself. I appreciate him, and I thank him for continuing to make content. The other thing I wanted to talk about was the whole current reality. You know, like this may be the new normal. This, to some extent, will be the new normal. Things will open back up, and traffic will get shitty again, and things will go back to, you know, how they were. I'm not going to say that it was normal, because I don't think it's normal. I don't think any of society is normal at this point. We weren't meant to live like this. We just weren't. And one of my biggest pet peeves, switches, passionate points is over-consumerism. And I don't have a lot of details and facts and data on that. All I know is what I see. And I know that there's way too much shit being produced around the world. We don't need tens of thousands of jeans being made, and shirts being made, and pants, you know, of all kinds, and shoes and socks. Like, there should be enough already made sitting in stores and warehouses that we don't need to keep producing more fabric and more resources, using up more resources to continue at the expansion that we're at. Like, it's out of control. And that goes from everything from textiles to agriculture. It's out of control. Drives me insane. I've seen the warehouses full of, like, warehouses, floor to ceiling, stacked bolts of cloth that are just sitting there rotting away. And that was just one warehouse. There are so many around the world that are just sitting there with stacked, warehouses of material. There's a fabric store near me that's like it's supposed to be like I don't know if I want to call it an outlet, but maybe an outlet. And this place is huge. The amount of fabric in this building is absolutely insane. And it's probably been like that for a lot of years, and it's probably going to continue. There's all that fabric that's overpriced, just sitting there waiting for somebody to possibly buy it. At some point, it's going to degrade. Like, it just doesn't make any sense. But that was not where I was trying to go with this. My point was that, to some degree, this is going to be a new normal. None of us have gone through this in our lifetime. Our grandparents or our great-grandparents, they went through world wars and Great Depressions and, serious things of this nature. And they learned a lot of lessons. They altered a lot of ways of being. And I think that there's going to be a lot of us pulling that back in. There's going to be a lot of us that are going to, for me, thinking about, like, if a police officer knocked on my door and said, you have 24 hours to get everything that you absolutely need and get in your car and drive to Mexico. Get out of the country. What would I take? Well, I've only got one vehicle to fill, so I've got and if I've got my whole family in that one vehicle, that's even less space. What would I grab? It wouldn't be much. It wouldn't be much. It would be very minimal. So why do I have a house full of stuff? Why do so many of us have houses full of stuff? And then that's not even talking about people that have multiple houses of stuff, multiple houses with 2 sets of furniture, and it's just crazy. I can't even put it into words. It drives me so insane to think about. But this has brought to my attention that I just really, I go through this phase where I need to declutter, and I definitely need to declutter. I've been trying to declutter for, 12 years now, and it doesn't seem to matter how much stuff I get rid of, I still have too much stuff. I can't understand why. I don't buy a lot of stuff, but I must be buying more stuff than I think I am, because it doesn't seem to matter what I get rid of. There's just too much stuff. And I've left piles and piles. In those 12 years, we've moved okay, well, wait, that can't be right. Hold on here, let me think a second. 12 years ago was 2009, so that's, I moved from there. We didn't get rid of a lot of stuff there. 1, 2, okay, so maybe only 3 times. But when we left the first house in Michigan, I left a huge pile of stuff. When we left the trailer in Michigan, I left a huge pile of stuff. And when we left the house that we were renting here, we filled a dumpster and bought a bigger house than we were living in. And now that we have our stuff from Michigan plus our stuff here, there's still too much stuff. So it's pretty insane. So, coming to that realization that things are going to be different from now on, and it's now or never. It's time to pare down to what we actually need and what we actually use, and get rid of all the fluff, because ain't nobody got time for fluff. Now, that being said, there is an exception to that for me. Not that I'm the only one that gets exceptions, but point is like my craft stuff, I'm not getting rid of that, because when I have downtime, I like to make things. And when things come up like it has now, I've been saving totes of material for years. I don't really sew. I did hope to sew someday, but I've been saving sewing materials for years. I have tons of thread, I have tons of needles, I have measuring tapes, I have the whole shebang, and now all of a sudden that's coming in handy. I could probably make 2,000 masks if I needed to. I have that much material sitting around. And I haven't bought any of it. A lot of it would actually have to be used as like a third layer, or typically like a third layer, because it's like sheets and stuff. I don't really use top sheets, so I've been saving top sheets for years. But those have a very loose weave. So if we're talking about masks during the current pandemic, that would definitely have to be a third layer. But there may be other things that could come in handy that I could use those for at this point. I've used them for curtains and dividers and, all kinds of things over the years. But suddenly that's coming in handy. I didn't have the variation of elastic I needed, but that's okay. And my yarn, I would like to use up more of my yarn and not have it sitting around, but I just don't always feel like crocheting. And, honestly, I tried to look up, like, useful pandemic items to crochet, or, like, emergency kit items to crochet, and there's nothing. Which kind of makes me sad a little bit, because that means that there's really not a whole lot of useful uses for crochet. But it did make me think about my grocery bags and what I could do with those that, in a survival kit could come in handy. Like sleep mats and hanging baskets and shoulder bags and stuff like that. And even to make multiples, if I'm not going to use them all, but if shit really hits the fan and I need to hand some out to my neighbors to help them out, or something of that nature. So over consumerism. Oh, and being more prepared, like getting rid of the fluff and actually storing up things that if I had to hunker down in my house for, let's say, 6 months and could not leave my house, what would I need? What kind of supplies would I need? How do I do that? How do I store it? What's my plan to build that up? Those kinds of things. Thinking about how to go about things differently. So, like, obviously I can only fill my tank as full as it gets. I can't really do anything about having to make, fuel trips when I have to drive to work and back. And I live an hour away, so I go through fuel fast. But thinking about other things, like the only other thing that I really need to get on a regular basis is cigarettes. I did buy tobacco in tubes, but per usual, I haven't sat down and made any because I've been too busy doing other things or just trying to rest and recharge. But when I have been going to the gas station about once a week, I've been buying 3 packs of cigarettes to try to last me the whole week, so I have less trips. But I suppose I could just as easily go to a tobacco store and buy a carton. But cartons here are so much more expensive. If I could go to Dakota and get a carton, I'd save myself $40. But I don't know. So thinking about that in that way, can I reduce my cigarette trips? Or do I just keep it how it is and, not worry about it? Because I still have to get gas once a week. So I'll just keep buying the 3 or 4 packs at a time, so that I only have to make that one trip. Thinking about things in a different way, like we have a lot of long-term things in our cupboards and fridge, but then, at least once a week we need to go get fresh produce and stuff that will go bad or stuff that we use up faster, such as fresh produce and vegetables and stuff like that. And really, over the long term, that needs to become the normal, I think. I think that, like I said in my other video, this is not the end of pandemics. Whether it be the same one coming through again, or whether it be a new one in whatever given amount of time. I think that the more we can change our habits and change how we go about these normal daily tasks and reducing our exposure to each other over the long term, could curb any future pandemics. If we just get into the habits that we're creating now, where we're not going to the store every day for things, not going to the gas station every single day for things, and we're really reducing it to 1 or 2 trips a week, ideally one, over the long term, when the next crazy shit comes into the country, maybe because we've set up long-term better habits, it won't spread like it has. We are a condensed population, but we are not as condensed as most of the major areas in China by any means. Anything going through there is going to spread faster than wildfire. Some of these, more, like I said, the rural areas, like where I live, it's going to be a little slower. Anywhere in the big cities, it's going to be faster because there's more people in a smaller amount of area. So how do we set up ourselves for the future, for the next round of this? Because of our consumerism and because of our greed, this kind of thing may become normal to any extent. Just look at the recalls that they have on food that salmonella or whatever gets in, or mad cow disease, or any of those things, because we're trying to produce things at such a stupid amount daily that things like that get missed and then people die. And maybe that's okay. Maybe we need some natural selection, and maybe we need some population control. But I don't want it to be the people I love or the people I care about. So how do we change our habits to make it better overall? I think that was most of the topics I wanted to cover. I do get tomorrow off. My teammate has today off. So we both worked yesterday, and then I'm covering today while he takes the day off. And tomorrow, I'm not taking the day off. I'm staying home. I'm working from home. I don't have a lot of PTO built up, and I really can't afford to lose that income. And I have a lot of projects that I would like to really have the time at home to sit and focus on. When I only have a few minutes here and there between trainees asking questions or people needing things, I can't really focus on some of these projects that I think would really create long-term overall benefits. So I'm really looking forward to that. So I'll have tomorrow at home, and then Friday at home, and I'll be working from home both of those days to try to get some projects done. So yeah, I think that about covers most of everything I wanted to talk about. And I can't really think if there was anything else.